Hello students, very warm welcome to you all in my class, in the class of Accountancy, class 11, where we were dealing with the concept of financial statement, which is a very important topic of term 2 syllabus. And dealing that, we have already discussed the concept and the various elements of financial statement. हमने जाना था कि फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट क्या होता है, उसकी प्रिपरेशन क्यों की जाती है, और साथ ही साथ हमने जाना था कि फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट की प्रिपरेशन करते समय हम किन किन चीज़ों की प्रिपरेशन करते हैं, किन किन स्टेटमेंट्स और किन किन अकाउंट्स की प्रिपरेशन करते हैं। हमने इनकम स्टेटमेंट के बारे में जाना था और हमने बैलेंस शीट के बारे में भी जाना था। और डीलिंग दैट हमने अपने कंटेंट के, अपने फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट के एलिमेंट्स को एक एक करके फॉर्मेट वाइज डिस्कस करने की कोशिश की थी। जहां हमने जाना था कि जब फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट बनाते हैं तो सबसे पहले हम ट्रेडिंग अकाउंट बनाते हैं, है ना, स्टेटमेंट ऑफ प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस बनाते हैं, और इसके बाद एट द एंड हम प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस के बाद बैलेंस शीट बनाते हैं। मीन्स व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द फॉर्मेट, द सीक्वेंसेस ऑफ द प्रिपरेशन, देन in the step 1 we prepare the trading account, later on we prepare profit and loss account, and afterwards when we prepare profit and loss account, at the end of the power we prepare balance sheet. These all are prepared for the purpose of identification of profit and loss and its impact also. हम इसकी प्रिपरेशन करते हैं ताकि अल्टीमेटली हमें प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस की कैलकुलेशन का पता लग सके, कैलकुलेशन ऑफ प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस, और अल्टीमेटली बैलेंस शीट की प्रिपरेशन करते हैं ताकि हम एसर्टेन कर सकें द फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन ऑफ द कंपनी की जो भी फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन है उसकी एसर्टेनमेंट हम जो है कर सकें विद द हेल्प ऑफ बैलेंस शीट। ठीक है, अल्टीमेटली इन दोनों को कंबाइंड फॉर्म में हम इनकम स्टेटमेंट के नाम से भी जानते हैं, as these two are also known as income statement. Okay, and ultimately balance sheet is prepared for the purpose of identifying the effect of this income, and therefore these three are the essential element of the preparation of फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट। जहां हमने डिस्कशन की थी ट्रेडिंग अकाउंट के फॉर्मेट की, ठीक है, हमने बात किया था कि जब हम ट्रेडिंग अकाउंट बनाते हैं तो हम बिजनेस की सारी कोर ट्रेडिंग एक्टिविटीज को रिकॉर्ड करते हैं, बिजनेस की सारी कोर ट्रेडिंग एक्टिविटीज को रिकॉर्ड करते हैं, और इसकी प्रिपरेशन हम करते हैं एज पर द रूल ऑफ नॉमिनल अकाउंट, बेस्ड ऑन नॉमिनल अकाउंट रूल, and ultimately these items are recorded to calculate core business profit, that is also known as gross profit or gross loss. Therefore it could be said that when we deal with core business operation, It means we are dealing with net purchase, adjusted purchase, or COGS, net sale, etc. So these are the things which have already been discussed before you, and afterward we will deal with the preparation of second statement, that is the second part of the income statement, which is also known as profit and loss account. Now let us deal and discuss the preparation of profit and loss account. Preparation of profit and loss account, which is the second step of income statement. And here we will also discuss. So let us deal with the preparation of profit and loss account. This profit and loss account is the second part of income statement, and such income statement is prepared as per the rule of nominal account. As per the rule of nominal account. I hope the rule of nominal account is very much clear to you, and therefore you could say that all expenses related to the profit and loss account will be debited, and in the profit and loss all indirect income will be debited. Indirect expense actually. Indirect expense will be debited. And similarly, when we talk about the credit side, it means we are talking about all indirect income. Okay, so hope these things are very much clear to you. When we prepare the profit and loss account, it means we are going through with the second part of the income statement, and dealing that we will prepare the profit and loss account as per the rule of nominal account, and as per the rule the all expenses will be debited and all income will be credited. But when we prepare profit and loss account, these expenses are only concerned with the indirect nature. It means indirect means the transaction which do not affect, which, or you can say without which production of goods is possible. It means those transactions, those payment through which the payment or the production of the raw material or the goods and services which we are going to sell is possible. In that case, that payment or that item is indirect in nature. यानी इनडायरेक्ट नेचर के एक्सपेंस और इनडायरेक्ट नेचर की इनकम में वो सारी एक्सपेंस और वो सारी इनकम आती हैं जिनके बिना प्रोडक्शन पॉसिबल होता है। यानी इनके बिना प्रोडक्शन हम कर सकते हैं और इनके बिना जो है सेलिंग भी हो सकती है। हाँ, ये अलग चीज़ है कि इनके होने से प्रोडक्शन की एफिशिएंसी या सेल्स की एफिशिएंसी में थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा स्मूथनेस आ जाएगी, इंक्रीजमेंट हो जाएगी। ठीक है, so I hope this concept is very much clear to you, and now we will deal with some practical question related to the profit and loss account which will be prepared after the preparation of final account and ट्रेडिंग अकाउंट। एक्चुअली ट्रेडिंग अकाउंट के बाद हम प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस की प्रिपरेशन करते हैं। तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल हम प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट के फॉर्मेट को डील करेंगे, इनडायरेक्ट एक्सपेंसेस और इनडायरेक्ट इनकम क्या क्या होती हैं उनको डील करेंगे, और इसके बाद हम डील करेंगे कि किस तरीके से प्रैक्टिकल क्वेश्चन लगाते समय किस तरीके से प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस की रूल की इम्प्लीमेंटेशन होती है और किस तरीके से प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस को प्रिपेयर किया जाता है। सो let us join and let us start discussing the format of profit and loss account, and afterward we will deal with the concept of accounting treatment related to the preparation of financial statement, that is in the form of profit and loss account. So, as when we talk about the format of profit and loss account, it start with the previous balance of the gross profit or the value of gross loss that is concluded as in the trading account. As if there is a gross loss in the trading account take place, it will be debited in the form of BD in the initial of profit and loss account. Meanwhile, when we talk about the gross profit, as it had took place in the trading account conclusive information, then it will be credited as the initial of profit and loss account. So, after recording the final balance of trading account as the initial balance of profit and loss account in the opposite side, then we comes after that to record the transaction of indirect expenses and indirect losses, or whatever the indirect income and gains are also given in the trial balance as per the rule of nominal account. So now see, when we talk about the format of profit and loss account, uh, as you can see that the office expense that is related in the form of salary, sometimes salaries and wages are also given, and if these two are given in a combined manner, then whatever the value as written initially will be considered as, if the salary will be written initially, it will treated as an indirect expense, or if the salary is written in later and wages is written initially, then it will be recorded in trading account by considering it as a direct expense. So as in the form of salary and wages, it will recorded as indirect expense and recorded in the debit side as per the rule of nominal account. And later on, when we talk about the rent, rates and taxes, it is also a kind of indirect expense and will be debited definitely in the profit and loss account. And similarly, when we talk about the printing and stationery, it will debited unless until the opening balance and closing balance is clearly given. In that case, when the opening and closing balance is given, we have to identify the value of printing and stationery consumed during the year, and it will be subject matter of this profit and loss account. And later on, when we talk about the postage and lighting, these two are also the indirect expense, and that is why, as per the rule of nominal account, it will be also debited in the same. And similarly, when we talk about the insurance premium that has been paid by the firm for the business purpose, since always mind it, this kind of insurance premium is not related to the personal expense of any proprietor or the member of the organization, and in such case, when the insurance premium had taken by the firm and paid by the firm, that will be recorded in the debit side of profit and loss account. Similarly, whatever the telephone charges are paid for office use of the telephone, then it will be treated as an expense of the organization and will debited in the profit and loss account. And legal charges paid by the firm for the legal formalities of conduction of business operations of the organization, it will be debited as in the form of rule of the nominal account. When we talk about the audit fees, it is the payment of making audit of the books of account of the organization regularly by the regular auditor or occasional auditor, whatever. It will be debited as per the rule of nominal account in profit and loss account under the debit side content. Similarly, when we talk about the audit fees, the audit fees is ultimately uh,
has been clearly defined before you, and whatever the traveling expense that has been incurred due to the traveling of employees or the member of the organization due to the business purpose, in that case whatever the traveling expense will have paid by the organization or will have to paid by the organization will be debited in the profit and loss account. And ultimately, when we talk about some more transaction of profit and loss account, it will establishment expense, trade expense, and general expense. All these informations and expense are related to the uh, preparation of profit and loss account and comes under the heading of office expense. Although the mentioning of heading is not important, we could directly record the transaction in the debit side of profit and loss account. But as per the nature, we if we want to identify, if we want to learn, then we could do so. And later on, when we talk about some more indirect expense related to the selling and distribution uh, item, then whatever the value of carriage outward and whatever the value of carriage on sale, these two are the same and it will be recorded in the debit side of profit and loss account as in the form of indirect expense. And ultimately it comes under the selling and distribution expense because due to this expense the selling value or the value of the sale of proceed of the sale increased, and ultimately make a smooth functioning, as due to these expense the sale either arises up to a large extent or becomes smooth for conducting a convincing or clear sale. And later on when we talk about the advertisement, then ultimately advertisement means the payment of the advertisement that has been made by the organization, as this is also related to the sale, and that is why it will be comes under the heading of selling and distribution expense. Later on when we talk about the commission and brokerage, sometimes it also paid on the basis of sale, and that is why it is also recorded under the same heading. And ultimately when we talk about the bad debts and export duty, then it will also recorded in the same side under the same heading. And later on when we talk about the packing charges, delivery van expense and stable expenses, these are the content related to the selling and distribution expense. And when we talk about the other expense, that means the expenses which are indirect in nature, but other than the selling and distribution or office expense of the organization, then such items will be recorded as a miscellaneous expenditure. As under this heading, whatever the discount allowed by the organization, repair paid by the firm, or the depreciation charge on the fixed assets will be debited. And later on the interest and bank charges will also recorded here, and entertainment expense will be debited. As on the convenience expense and the donation will also recorded, because these are not affected due on the sale, as well as it is not necessary for office operation. That is why it comes under the heading of other expenses. And since it is not affected by the production, and it also not affect the production, therefore it will not recorded in the trading content. And later on when we talk about the donation and charity and loss on profit on sale, loss on the sale of assets, it will recorded in the debit side under the heading of other expenses. And ultimately when we talk about some credit content of profit and loss account, these are the indirect expenses recorded in the credit side of profit and loss account, as the rent received from tenant, rent credited, or discount received by the organization. If there is any commission received or interest on investment as recorded in the organization, it will also be a part of that particular uh, profit and loss credit content. And if the organization have received any dividend on share, It will also be a part of credit content. Whatever the value of bad debts that has been recovered by the organization will be transferred to the credit side of profit and loss account. And ultimately, when we talk about the profit and on sale, it is an indirect income, and therefore it will be recorded as credit side of profit and loss account. And later on, if there is any other sources of income in the organization during that particular period of time, it will be credited as in the profit and loss account. And otherwise, if there is any miscellaneous income that took place in the organization, that will also be credited and ultimately be recorded in profit and loss account. So these are ultimately the credit and debit content of profit and loss account, and complete format discussion of profit and loss account. Now see a practical example of the preparation of profit and loss account, and let us came to know that how the profit and loss account could be prepared smoothly. Now see the example. The question is asking to prepare profit and loss account as per the given information, where the gross profit is clearly given to you, and whatever the value should be recorded in the debit side, the arrow will moves leftward, and whatever the value that will be recorded in the credit side, the arrow will be moved rightward in that particular information. So now see, when we talk about the gross profit, it will recorded in the credit side. If we talk about the trade expenses, carriage on sale, office sales, salaries, postage, office rent, legal charges, audit fees, donations, sundry expenses, these all the indirect expenses, and that is why it should be recorded in the debit side of profit and loss account. And then therefore, when we talk about the some other information written in the page, that is discount allowed 15,000 will be a loss for the organization, and that is why it should be recorded in debit side. When we talk about the lighting, it will be also recorded in the debit side. And ultimately, when we talk about the commission received, it is an indirect income, and if the value of bad debts is given, it will the part of loss, and that is why it should be recorded in the debit side. And ultimately, if we talk about the discount credited, as the name suggests, it will be credited in the profit and loss account. And afterward, if the interest on loan is written only, and in the absence of other information, it will treat it as an expense. Otherwise, whatever the loan side will be written in the trial balance, in the opposite of that side, the interest on loan will be mentioned. So as per that, the interest on loan will be treated as an expense, and that is why it should be recorded in the debit side. Stable expenses is also a same kind, and ultimately export duty, miscellaneous expense, and unproductive expense are the same content, as it should be written in the debit side of the profit and loss account. Now see the practical example, solution of this practical example, where whatever the side it have been mentioned earlier, the same side it has been recorded as in the form of trading account. As you can see under the heading of profit and loss account, these all items are written, and this profit and loss account has been prepared for a specific period of time, that is 31st March 2019. So as you can see here, whatever the values are identified in the trial balance, similarly in the same manner we have recorded these all. जिन जिन चीज़ों को हमने डेबिट करने को कहा था, वो सारी चीज़ें आपके फॉर्मेट के हिसाब से अल्टीमेटली, चाहे वो ट्रेडिंग एक्सपेंस हो, चाहे वो कैरेज, डेबिट साइड में रिकॉर्ड हुई हैं। और इसके अलावा जो भी चीज़ें हमने आइडेंटिफाई की एज इन द फॉर्म ऑफ इनडायरेक्ट इनकम, इन सारी चीज़ों को हमने यहाँ पर credit kiya. So comparing all the content of trading, debit side of profit and loss account, and all the content of credit side of profit and loss account, we will find that surplus or the deficit. And comparing this question's information, we find that there is a surplus of credit side, and the amount of difference was rupees 7,50,000. That was the amount of net profit, and it will transfer to the capital account, and due to this the capital will be increased by 7,50,800. So this was the implementation of the format, as with the help of a practical question. Now let us deal some more question in some more classes. Till then, take care and goodbye.